So first things first, I'm going to ask you to think. Call upon your prior knowledge. What do you know about government? Just silently. Silently. Think yourself. Silent. Silent. Just for a minute. Just think. Silently. Tell me like a gentleman. You have your thoughts? All right. I also want you to think about what Ms. Yule has taught you about government so far, because I know you guys learned about different governments from different countries in your social studies class. So I want you to turn and talk to your neighbor for 1 minute about what you've learned about government. Okay, guys, you turn and talk to your neighbor. Give me 5. Okay, so I want you to give me 3 things. I want 3 answers about what you think about government. Just your prior knowledge. Colton?
There's 3 branches of the United States government.
Okay.
There's a local government, a state government. That's all I can think.
Okay. Adam?
And like how Colton said, there's 3 different types of branches, and those branches are the judicial, the executive, and the legislative.
Okay. We're moving on. So today I'm going to teach you about the Greek government and how it affected our government today, because ours was based off of Greece and a lot of other countries too. So we've thought about different types of governments and how they work, because they help people. Governments are there to control us, to help us, to make laws for us, so we don't make mistakes, so we live the best possible lives that we can live, right? We all want good lives, right? We want to find happiness, right? All right. So, ancient Greece. We've learned about ancient Greece a lot so far, right? We've learned about the gods and the goddesses. We've learned about city-states, right? So, Greece never had one government in the past. They had many city-states, or polis. Everybody say polis.
Polis.
That's a Greek word for city-state. So they had over 1,500 city-states. Imagine that. Greece isn't that big of a country. It's a couple different little islands. So think of a tiny island. Think of Key West. We all know Key West isn't that big of a place, right?
Yeah.
Think of having many different tribes on Key West, having many different laws, and every time you want to go visit your friend on the other end of the island, you're passing through different places with different laws. You don't know the laws. You can get pulled over for anything. That's weird, isn't it? Yeah. Okay. So, different systems everywhere. Nobody had an alike government. There was no uniformity. That's not good. So, we're going to do something a little different today. I'll read you the question first. Don't raise your hands yet. I want you to think, if Greece had one person to oversee the city-states, or did they have their own separate governments? Close your eyes. Everybody, close your eyes. I want you to have thumbs up for one person to oversee. Eyes closed. Eyes closed. So one person to oversee. Thumbs up. Okay. What about separate governments? Okay. Hands down. Open your eyes. Moving on. Here are the different types of government. We have a tyranny, which is one ruler, like a king or an emperor. They're not chosen by the people. These are people who take over countries. You can wake up one day and have a completely different ruler than you had yesterday because they came in and completely took over. New rules, new everything. Your whole life changed. And that's just the way it was. And then they pass it on to their kids, who pass it on to their kids, who might have their country attacked again, and then you have another king. So that's how life was. Then you have an oligarchy. Everybody say oligarchy.
Oligarchy.
Now this is what Greece mainly had, or Athens more specifically. They had the city-states and the polis, ruled by a few people. Few meaning citizens, the ruling class, people who were born there, were of the male persuasion, were not slaves, who owned land. And then there is democracy. That's what we have, right? We choose our leaders, right? I can go vote because I'm 23, right? You guys can have your own little class elections if you want to. One day, you'll be able to vote for your next president, your next mayor, your town officials, right? Because we have little voting times here in Wellington or in Royal Palm, right? Mm-hmm. It's important to vote in every election. Okay, we're going to do this again. Close your eyes. So, this is going to be different. How do you classify Sparta? I want everybody's hands up. Everybody's hands up. Eyes closed, hands up. If you think Sparta's a democracy, I want you to have one finger up. If you think Sparta is a tyranny, two fingers up. If you think Sparta is an oligarchy, three fingers up. All right, hands down, eyes open. So Sparta. Sparta's pretty intense, right? I know you want to say something, Colton.
Wait, which one was the two?
Two was tyranny and C was oligarchy.
I put the two.
So Sparta was a tyranny. Sparta had two kings. They ruled the city-state. And Sparta wasn't that big. It's kind of small. But they were powerful because they had a really big army. Similar to us. We have a really big army, right? We have an army, navy, marines. But we're not as large as other countries. Land-wise, Russia's bigger than us, right? So, good for that. Under the kings, there were 5 E4s. Who, everybody say E4.
E4.
Okay, they were kind of like the parents. They made sure the rules and the customs were being followed. They kept everything in check, made sure everybody was getting along up there. Because you never know when a war is going to break out between the Spartans, because they like to fight. And then below that, there was a council of elders. And they limited everybody's power. So they were kind of like the Congress. Does everybody know about checks and balances? Can someone tell me about checks and balances?